In 1987 or 1988, Star Trek The Next Generation aired. They introduced the character of Deanna Troi. She was a half Betazed. Betazeds are a telepathic race, being half Betazed, her father being human. Troi was only empathic. She was not able to use telepathy completely. And empathy has been around for a while. The concept, the idea of someone being an empath was sort of brought up more into modern day society with Deanna Troi. And I watched Star Trek and I thought, okay, empathy, it's like emotional telepathy. And I was wrong. So it was back in 1858, a German philosopher named Hermann Rudolf Lotz came up with the idea of empathy. He studied biology and medicine, and this was back in a time when medicine wasn't as specialized as it is today, so the doctors of his day would study psychology as much as they would normal physical medicine. And that is what he was studying, basically. He was looking at asceticism and interpersonal relationships. And the idea being, how someone reacts aesthetically can help us to study how they will react interpersonally to other people. So he coined the phrase Einfühlung, and that is just the German words for in feeling. And Einfühlung was used to study art appreciation, the idea being, if I look at a picture, can I feel the emotions that the artist meant to convey? They understood that, yes, art could be used to convey emotion, so Einfühlung was, can we pick up on what based on how they painted and the subject matter, etc., can we pick up on the artist's intent, what the artist was feeling at the time? And like I said, this got used with art appreciation as a device to try to further carry on into interpersonal relationships. So if I can understand by looking at a picture what the artist is thinking, then can I turn around and talking to an individual, can I start to sense what they are feeling? And it's art appreciation. It was easier to study this way because art, one picture, I just take it around, I can show it to several people, it doesn't change over time, the same feeling is there. Whereas if I tried to use a person as my model and try to find out if different people can understand what they are feeling, that person's emotions are going to change over time. So each study that I do is going to be different. In 1909, Edward Titchener was basically doing the same kind of research, and instead of using the German Einfühlung, he used the Greek words em and pathos and came up with empathy for, it's the same thing, it's, can you feel someone else's emotions? Latin and Greek were the two more universal scientific languages at the time, so instead of using the German, he just created a new universal phrase for it. And it was for the most part the realm of, like I said, psychologists. Although, as we saw with Deanna Troi, science fiction writers sort of picked up on it, and so eventually empathy became more commonly used among the rest of us. Problem is we started misusing it. So empathy, I'm talking to someone, they start to cry, I start to cry, that's an empathic reaction. Someone tells a joke, I laugh at it. That's an empathic relation. Someone gets angry, I get angry. That's an empathic relation. Again, back with Star Trek, the idea was that Troy didn't necessarily feel the same emotions that someone else was feeling. She could just tell what emotions they were feeling. But people started, did a weird combination of this, though, and they started thinking, well, if you're empathetic, you should understand how someone's feeling and how to react to it. But they leave out the part that you're also feeling their feelings. And this helped to make it go off the rails because it became a buzz phrase. Oh, why can't you be more empathetic? Everyone should be more empathetic, I'm such an empathetic person, like it's a good thing, and it's really not. It's a neutral. Empathy is a neutral thing. It's not good, it's not bad. First off, like I said, if you're being empathic, you are actually feeling what the other person is feeling. You're starting to behave with the emotions they are behaving with. Which means that, if they're sad, you start to feel sad. You don't know why you're feeling sad necessarily, unless they explain the situation to you. So you can't really help them. You can't do much with your sadness. You're just feeling what they're feeling for no apparent reason. You don't have a good, I'm happy because I'm sad because whatever. There's also the idea it can be misused. So, a psychologist, I want to help someone. They're feeling an emotion. I empathize with them. I start to feel that emotion. Being a trained psychologist, I step back. And I stop. I realize, wait a second. This is an emotion. I should not be... I need to find the cause of this emotion and not just act on the emotion. Because that's the proper use of empathy. It's not just agreeing with the person. It's not just feeling sorry for them. It is using the emotion you're feeling to try to help them. And that's a good thing. On the other hand, if I'm a con artist, being empathetic is helpful. I can better trick you into giving me your money if I understand what you're feeling. And so again, I start to feel your emotions, I step back, I analyze your emotions and decide how to use them against you. So like I said, empathy itself is just neutral. It's a tool. It's how you use it, whether it's good or bad. But everyone acts like it's an automatic good thing because everyone misunderstands it. They think that empathy must automatically be good, and they are wrong. It shouldn't. Empathy is just feeling what the other person is feeling. As I've been indicating, just feeling what they're feeling is not enough. You feel what they're feeling, you have to step back from that feeling, analyze it a little, in order to figure out how to help them if you want it to be a good thing. Because, again, like as I stated, someone's angry, I get angry with them, that's empathy. If I stay angry with them, then I'm not helping them. I'm actually making their case worse in some cases because I'm just fueling their anger. And so I've come up with my 3 rules of empathy. These are not really official rules. These are just my thoughts on the matter. Number 1 is you have to realize that empathy is an emotional reaction. It is not reason. It is not logic. It helps you to understand what the person's thinking, but it doesn't help you to help the person. So you're having an emotional reaction, playing along with those emotions can do more harm than good. Number 2, when people have emotional reactions, there's usually another person involved. I'm not just sad, I'm sad because Bob made me sad. I'm not angry, I'm angry because Bob made me angry. Now, as the outsider, the empathic person, yes, I feel that you are mad or angry or sad or whatever, but I also realize that maybe Bob has a reason to be sad or angry too. And yes, I'm empathizing with you, but Bob deserves empathy too. And Bob's not around, I'm not hearing his side of the story, So it's possible that the corrective action, the thing that will make everything better, is to listen to Bob and empathize with him for a while, rather than just empathizing with you and trying to make a solution based on just my empathy to you. Which is number 3 rule is empathy does not equal sympathy. They rhyme, yes, but they are not the same thing. And the idea that empathy automatically equals sympathy is more wrong than my idea that empathy is an emotional telepathy. Because to some extent, what I just said, or empathy is for a while you feel the other person's emotions. So it is more of, even though it's not specifically, I'm not giving you my emotional thoughts, I'm just picking up on yours, so it's a one-way telepathy. It is more of a telepathic communication than just automatic sympathy with the other person. Because your automatic sympathy, the other person could be wrong. And that's where most people are wrong. Why can't you be more empathetic? What they're really saying is, why don't you just agree with this person and make them feel better? And that's because, empathy doesn't do that. Empathy allows me to understand that they're feeling. That in turn will allow me to choose an approach to how I want to deal with the situation, but it doesn't mean I automatically agree with them. Because again, empathy is not sympathy. And so, like I said, a lot of people, they want to, personal profiles online and stuff like that. They want to claim to be empathetic, even though they don't know what it means. Corporate situations are beginning, or corporate settings are starting to use empathy. We need to be more empathetic with the needs of our customers. The problem with that is the frontline people, your customer relations people, your salesmen or whatever, the people who are going to be empathetic usually aren't policymakers. So, yes, I understand that we are raising our prices and you can't afford this and it's really, really hurting your business, but there's nothing I can do about it because my boss says we're raising the prices and we don't care really. My caring about your feelings or how our policies affect your business don't change the fact that we're going to do it that way, because I'm not a policymaker. I'm just an empathetic sales representative. And so it's really, again, like a lot of modern day corporate speak, it's putting the people, frontline people, the people who have no real authority over the situation, in a bind where we're supposed to be empathetic, but we can do nothing with our empathy. And so, like I say, it's a catchphrase which has been used, a word no one really understands, but everyone wants to use. We assume it's good, so we want to be empathetic. We call ourselves empathetic, and we don't know what the word means. And, our bosses are forcing us to be empathetic or to try to be empathetic, and our empathy, we can do nothing with it. We can agree with our customer. We can't change policy to actually help our customer. And we turn around into our bosses and say, look, our customers need such and such, and they say, well, that's not the way we do things. And so trying to be empathetic actually hurts more than it helps. And I'm not against empathy. It's not a bad thing. As I've stated earlier, it can help you to understand someone. You just have to remember that emoting with the person is not the solution all the time. You empathize initially, then you step back from the emotions and you try to help them with some more rational ideas. Sometimes the solution is to just cry with the person. I don't know how to help them, but right now they need someone to cry with me. Sometimes the solution is to just back off, observe the situation, and try to come up with a solution, or try not to come up with a solution. Just realize, yes, there's an emotional reaction going on. There's nothing I can do about it. I will help the situation better just by not getting involved. Sometimes the situation is, once you emoted with the person, to turn around and tell them, I understand what you're going through, but you're wrong. You're actually the cause of your problem, not the other person. And that may in turn give them another emotional reaction, but if they aren't willing to deal with that, then they're never going to solve their initial problem. So sometimes you have to realize that the person has to get over their emotions rather than just, live with them the whole time. And that's the problem with sympathy. People who think empathy is actually being sympathetic with the person, sometimes they're just fueling the problem and making it worse or making it never end, because as long as you're pitying the person, they're never going to turn around and see what the actual problem is. Like I said, I'm not against empathy. It's a good thing. It's a common thing. All people are naturally empathetic. The idea of stating yourself as I am empathetic, or trying to make it sound as if you are more empathetic than other people, is not really true. Everyone is empathetic to some degree. It's just how long do we indulge in the other person's emotions? How long do we get to other solutions? So everyone's naturally empathetic, but everyone talks as if it's a special thing when it's really not. And we misuse it, and we end up making situations worse trying to be empathetic, when in reality we can make them better sometimes just by stepping back and ceasing to be empathetic. We have our initial empathy, we realize that that's not solving the problem, we step back. And then we try to find a solution. We try to talk the person through their emotions rationally rather than indulging in their emotions. And so, like I said, this is just something I keep seeing the word pop up and being misused, so I thought I would make a little video talking about it. It's not a good thing, it's not a bad thing, it's a neutral thing. And it's everyone's, people who misuse it think it is automatically a good thing, when it's not automatically a good thing. It can be used for bad purposes. And that is all I had to say, and I hope you have a good day.